Francesco Bagnaia just climbed back onto the podium at Mugello, and somehow it made him look weaker, not stronger. Another rostrum, at home, in front of the red wall, and the loudest voice in the paddock used the moment to say the quiet part out loud. Neil Hodgson went on TNT and argued that Marc Marquez did not just beat Bagnaia in 2025. He destroyed him, and the version of Pecco now collecting trophies, Hodgson says, never actually came back. Everyone is reading these results as proof that he is healed. So why does an injured Marquez still have his number? And what did Marquez take that no podium can give back? Here is why this lands harder than one Sunday in Tuscany. This is not a contrarian pundit reaching for a headline. All through 2025, the people closest to Bagnaia kept reaching for the same word. His own mentor, Valentino Rossi, saw it. Pundits like Neil Hodgson saw it. They did not blame the bike. They blamed his head. Meanwhile, the championship is already gone, more than 90 points down with the season barely warm. So the only thing he has left to protect is his standing inside his own garage. And that is the one place Marquez owns him. Go back to 2025, because that is where the wound opened. Bagnaia did not just lose the title to his new teammate. He finished 5th, his worst season since 2020, behind riders on slower machinery, on a factory Ducati that was supposed to be the best bike on the grid. He spent the whole year talking about having no feeling with the front, about a bike that did everything except the one thing he asked of it. And on the other side of the garage, the same machine was winning everything. Marquez wrapped up his 7th world title with races to spare, on the exact bike Bagnaia kept calling unrideable. Think about what that does to a two-time champion. The excuse and the evidence were sitting in the same box in the same colours, and one of them was lapping the field. There is no setup sheet that survives that. Bagnaia later admitted he threw the season away and could not accept what was happening to him. By the time it ended, the question had quietly changed. It was no longer whether Bagnaia could beat Marquez. It was whether he could beat anyone with Marquez in the room. Over the winter, Bagnaia swore that Ryder was gone. He insisted he had completely reset and was ready to challenge Marquez head-on again, and Marquez himself predicted Pecco would come back to his best. Both men, in public, agreed the broken version was history. Mugello was supposed to be the proof. And at first, it delivered exactly that. Bagnaia led this thing. He pushed his Ducati to the front in the early laps with the kind of pace that used to define him. And for a while, it looked like the old order had snapped back into place. Then it slipped. The Aprilias of Marco Bezzecchi and Jorge Martin came through and turned it into a 1-2. And by the flag, Bagnaia was hanging on to 3rd, fending off the far less experienced Ayogura on worn tyres on the final lap. A two-time champion at his home race, only just keeping a kid behind him. That is what the podium photo hides. And there is one detail in how he lost it that almost nobody flagged. Bagnaia did not get out-dragged by a faster machine. He stopped attacking. That is exactly what Hodgson put his finger on at Mugello. Bagnaia, he said, doesn't have that explosiveness of just going out and pushing really hard. He didn't sort of attack it. Sit with what that actually means. The reference rider of the entire grid, the benchmark every engineer sets a bike against, and the thing that deserted him is not the speed, it is the will to push. That is not a small technical note. That is a man describing a champion whose racing instinct has been rewired. The talent to be fast on one clean lap is clearly still there. What is gone is the part that used to manufacture a pass out of nothing when a race turned ugly. Bagnaia keeps pointing at the tyre, at the front feeling, at the bike. Hodgson, Rossi, they all keep pointing at the same place. And it is not the bike. Now set that against what Marquez was doing on the same weekend. This was not peak Marquez. This was a man carrying 2 surgeries, a shoulder operation to clear out shifted screws that had been pinching a nerve, a foot still not right, so wrecked that he only regained enough feeling to hold a pen and write again after the Saturday sprint was done. He told the media his body drained as the laps piled up. In one hot lap, I was riding well. Marquez said. "But where I feel more limitation is in the race distance, because the energy is dropping." He admitted he was not even enjoying riding in that state. And that broken version of Marc Marquez still outqualified Bagnaia at Bagnaia's own home circuit. Sit with that contrast, because it is the whole story in one frame. A fully fit Bagnaia, on the newer bike, led at home and faded to a nervous third. A half-broken Marquez beat him over one lap on Saturday, then nursed a body with nothing left to 7th on Sunday, without a word of complaint. One of them called the weekend a 10 out of 10 given the state he was in. The other collected a podium and somehow looked haunted doing it. This is where the polite version of the story collapses, and where Hodgson stops sounding like a hot take and starts sounding like a diagnosis. And remember, this is not new. Last year, before this upturn in results, Rossi watched Marquez walk into that garage and go straight to the front, and even he admitted that for Pecco, physiologically it's not easy. The mentor saw his man rattled before anyone else would say it out loud. So here is the flip everyone is missing. People thought the podiums proved Bagnaia was back. The podiums are exactly how we know he is not. You do not lead at home, lose it, and then treat third as a good day, unless somewhere inside, losing to Marquez has already become normal. The reset he promised over the winter did not change the ending. It just gave him a better starting position to lose from. So let us be honest about what these results actually are. They are not a recovery. A recovery would look like Bagnaia hunting down a wounded Marquez and finishing him off. The way Hodgson points out, Marquez has destroyed every teammate he has ever had. Instead, the fit man led and folded, and the broken man still took the qualifying duel at Pecco's own track. That is not a slump you cure with a setup change. A slump is when the results dip but the belief holds. This is the reverse. The belief cracked first, and the results are simply following it down. Marquez did not only take the 2025 title from Bagnaia, he rewired how Bagnaia races, so completely that even at his physical worst, flat out of energy, he still casts the longer shadow over that side of the garage. The trophies will keep coming, because the talent never left. But the rider who won 2 titles by refusing to brake has not been seen since Marc Marquez walked through that door. So the real question is no longer whether Bagnaia can win another race. It is whether any rider can be rebuilt with Marquez living on the other side of the garage wall. Do you think Pecco comes back, or is this permanent? Let us know in the comments below. And once you do that, make sure to click on the video appearing on your screen right now.